Hey guys, it's Marie. So, I'm gonna talk about something that, is important to all of us, but, for, me, especially because, I've always been really good at, seeming okay, even when, things are really bothering me. Because, back when I was all, persecutory and stuff, I used to get even instead of getting mad at people, which I've worked on that because it's not the nicest thing to do. But yeah, it's basically that just because you look like you're, you know, functional doesn't mean that you're okay. And people need to learn that you don't have to look depressed or anxious or dissociative or any other kind of thing for it to still be going on. That you can look like you're fine, but still be totes having problems, And that's a big one for me because I spent a really long time with addiction issues and stuff. And I seemed fine when people would have to deal with me. I mean, obs, I was pretending to be Kit, but nobody ever noticed, you know? And with Kit, his whole job is to be functional all the time, which is why he's actually gonna talk about this a little bit too, because originally I was just gonna be the one doing this video, but since that's his whole thing, that I figured it'd be good if he talks about it too. But seriously though, okay, there were so many times when we seemed like we were perfectly fine when I was out and doing stuff, or when anybody else was for that matter, but we were not fine. We were still being traumatized on the daily, and we were still really screwed up. We were depressed and anxious and all kinds of things depending on who was out. So nobody noticed though because we seemed functional. So there's a huge difference between being functional and being okay. It's not the same thing. You can be functional and going about your day, everything's cool, and then suddenly just completely fall apart because the reality is that you weren't okay. So I guess sometimes people use looking functional as a mask to hide their problems. It's a defense mechanism. And dissociation can make that more of a problem for some people. They can seem like everything is fine because somebody is showing up who, that's their job, is to look fine or to deal with whatever situation, but the reality is that the system isn't fine. And this goes for people who aren't systems too. Okay? Just because someone looks fine doesn't mean they are fine. Okay? They still could have some very serious problems going on in their life. It's kind of just because someone looks happy doesn't mean they are happy, So it's important to show people that you care about that they can be open and honest with you and not have to hide it when they're having problems. And reach out and be hey, how are you doing? And stuff like that. Check on people, because you never know what somebody else might be going through. So yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing on it. And now I'm gonna let Kit talk about it a little bit. Hey everybody. Okay, so my thoughts on this are that yes, I agree with what Marie was saying. You don't know what's going on with someone else unless you ask them. And it is my job in our system to appear functional. That is my entire job. I'm supposed to be the one who looks okay to the outside world. If anybody's looking at me, they're supposed to think we're just perfectly fine and that there's nothing wrong. That's always been my role. The problem with that, though, is that it doesn't mean that I'm actually doing well. Sometimes I'm very negatively affected by my bipolar 2. Sometimes I'm very dissociated. Sometimes I'm dealing with high anxiety or a lot of complex PTSD symptoms, like the hypervigilance, the intrusive emotional flashbacks. And so just because I look like I'm functioning, it doesn't mean that I'm actually okay and doing well mentally or emotionally. And I think that's something important to talk about, especially considering how many times people have talked about public figures who have ended up institutionalized or in rehab or even ending their life. And they always said how they seemed like they were fine. Well, the reality is just because someone seems fine doesn't mean they are fine. I seem functional pretty much all the time because that's my job. And I've had to work very, very hard to learn how to let myself be vulnerable and be open about the fact that I'm not okay. And a lot of us have had to work really hard on that because a lot of us have trouble admitting when we're not okay because, well, during the traumatic incidences in our life, that wasn't safe. So that is still something that we struggle with. But the reality is that functional isn't something that you can just judge from the outside. Functional is something that you have to feel on the inside. You have to be healthy. You have to be coping in effective ways to truly be functional. So I guess what I'm getting at is that just because you look functional doesn't mean you are functional. And that's okay. That's valid. It's okay to not be doing well. And it's understandable to try to mask that. But just remember, you have value and you have worth. And it's okay if you're not doing well. It's okay to reach out to safe, supportive people and tell them that you're not doing well. You don't have to always be strong all the time. So that was what we wanted to talk about for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Marie says she also hopes you enjoyed it. And hope you guys have a good day. Please like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Have a good day, everybody.